I feel like this is the one time I can actually just sort of say, with context, hey, Todd, what the fuck? Jeez. Sorry, I need a little time to process this. And you know what? We'll process it.
Let's process it together.
Welcome to another episode of TERA CON Prime Time. I'm your host, Jeremy.
And I'm the guest co-host for this week, Blaze.
We have a little guest host. It's Blaze, the one and only.
Good to be back.
And we watched Final Space Season 3, Episode 9, Hyper-Transdimensional Bridge Rising, I think is what it was called. Ugh, what a mouthful.
Yeah, that's what it's called. And can I just say how cool that name is?
It's cool, I guess. I don't know. It's a mouthful for me.
It is a mouthful, but, I don't know, it just has this cool vibe to it.
I am giving this episode, honestly, a 7 out of 10. I'm giving this episode a 7 out of 10. I was not terribly happy with this episode.
I think I can see why. But we'll get to that. I think I'm gonna give this one maybe an 8 or a 9. But that I think I might be too generous, but who cares?
Well, explain yourself. Why are you giving it, let's just say, an 8.5?
Well, it just really felt like a Final Space episode. It felt like the same kind of vibe that Chapter 9 had in Season 1. And I don't know, it just, with all the high stakes in this episode, I think it deserves an 8.
Yeah, I mean, it sets up a lot of stuff. And I would agree. It was a good Final Space episode. And I don't want to get that, sort of saying it wasn't, the show that I, have grown to love or anything like that. It was still well produced. It's just that the content of the episode I didn't necessarily enjoy. Olin, how the could you kill off 2 of my favorite characters? Granted, Todd whatever his name is. Todd Watson. How could you kill off Todd Watson / Hush Fluffles? And Clarence Polkowitz. Come on. In the same episode.
And let's not forget the rest of the characters, because I guess we're jumping right to this scene right now.
Well, we have to, because this is the most important thing to me. Well, okay, this scene, the whole setup of, we have to contact Clarence on the other side. He's the only one left that we got. Okay, that's fine. And then that little note or quote unquote one-off line of being like, Clarence, beware, this message was transmitted for everyone to hear. It's clearly hinting at the setup. And then just, okay, it contacted Clarence. Great. I'm so glad my boy is back. I was very happy Clarence was back.
Was that robot that had that message named Amy or something?
I think I heard that as well. I just wanted to know who voiced it. We'll have to see about that. But otherwise, okay, so Clarence gets contacted. Great, he's going off to whatever the planet was called. And then we get to Todd, Hush Fluffles, who also hears it. It's okay, so 2 sort of antagonists, as it were, have now heard the message. Okay, so we're going to have a conflict once they meet there, unless Clarence is able to get there before Hush Fluffles and activate it before, any sort of trouble arises, which, why couldn't that happen? Anyways, so then we have this mess. And I'm calling it a mess intentionally because at first it was ooh, okay, we're having this showdown between Clarence and Hush Fluffles. Oh, okay, the DeWinters are here. Okay, that's kind of interesting.
And then the Time Swap Sammy's here.
Yeah, the DeWinters, Time Swap Sammy, the Alien Queen, and I think whatever his name is too, with the multiple hands. Sure, Klossenhauer or whatever his name is.
Fraskenhauer? I keep forgetting his name.
I'm pretty sure I just called him the thing from Zootopia. It really just turned into a mess for me. Just because I think it could have been interesting if it was just between Hush Fluffles and Clarence. But then you have this unnecessary, like, okay, the joke of Time Swap Sammy going like, over my dead body, and then, you know, everyone's shooting him, yeah. And also the evil Kevins are there. It's just like this mess starts happening, and so Time Swap Sammy dies, and then the Winters and the Alien Queen start hooking up, and it's just...
Honestly, I wasn't expecting that to happen. But good for him. Good for him.
I don't know. I guess there's something to be said about the unexpected humor here, especially the unexpected humor in the sense of all of these side characters now have vengeance for Gary, which I feel like it just could have been executed differently just because, like, we've already had the De Winters hunting down Gary. So I guess maybe in that sense, it's just kind of like, oh, this is not going to stop until it stops. Whereas, like, why the hell the Alien Queen was there besides just, you know, this message being broadcasted to the universe, as it were, and everyone picked up, like, I don't know. I'm just sad that my boy Clarence died. I mean, granted, I wouldn't even necessarily say a good cause, because at this point he just died for a cause because he activates the teleporter, and the team squad doesn't even go through. It's only the resistance that Tribores saved goes through. So it's like we don't even get the payoff yet, and who knows if the teleporter is even going to be around once the team squad, for whatever reason, has now decided that taking out Titans is more important.
Well, Quinn decided that.
Well, Quinn suggested it, and then Gary, being Gary, was like, all right, we can do that, I guess.
But what? Okay, can we just get to the part that destroyed me in this episode?
What, you mean Clarence dying didn't destroy you? Because it destroyed me.
Just the ending part of, like, we find out that Gary now has final space poisoning now.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not surprised by that at this point.
I mean, I'm not really that surprised either, but I mean, I knew it was coming, but, like, yeah, at the same time, I wasn't expecting it.
I mean, at this point, it's just like we've already seen it with Quinn. So now it's just going to be like, okay, well, we're going to somehow do the exact same thing, or they're actually setting up Gary getting killed off and dying. I don't care if he does or not, because this little reveal of him having final space poisoning is just like, yeah, okay, we already have seen what the consequences could be for that. So the fact that we've already had this huge Quinn moment a couple episodes earlier, you know, going through all of that trouble to save her and put the implant in her head using a rare mineral that is so rare that it somehow was found in final space, and this, that, and the other, for Gary to, you know, lift up his sleeve and see, oh, I'm a little bit poisoned. It's just like, all right, so we already know what we can do about that. It just seems like, okay, is everyone now going to get chips implanted in them? Or are we actually going to have a main character die and have it be permanent? Like Gary sacrifices himself now, just like how Nightfall did, and now Clarence has. Well, he's more of a side character, but still. So I don't know. I think what ended up happening was, with this episode, is I was actually spoiled by it.
Yeah, that was unfortunate to see. Like, I saw you in chat and it's like, oh no.
I mean, I set myself up to get spoiled, so I'm a little less upset about it, because I knew what I was doing. I was walking into, you know, unprotected territory, as it were. And, you know, sometimes you put your hand on the flame and you get burned. So I also didn't see this one live again. So, like, I had to wait until iTunes uploaded it. So, like, at this point, it's just like I was able to do notes again. The only notes I really have that are like kind of important is just like, oh, hey, Invictus can possess a dead Gary's body, it seems like, which we've already seen in previous episodes. But I think what was more interesting is that the previous zombie Garys didn't have their psychic powers, as it were, or at least I didn't see anything like that. And so for this to just be, again, how I've been saying, you know, like the chess pieces moving, as it were, it's just the chess piece moving of, okay, now Invictus and Lord Commander are chasing after the team squad again. And apparently Invictus can use its powers to, was it, telekinetically control people and stuff like that, which is, I guess, is kind of interesting. My other note is just like Ash sort of taking responsibility to not only contact Clarence, but also tell him that Fox is dead. Like I've been saying, I've slowly been growing in love with Ash. And this is a very nice moment to me, just to sort of mature, as it were.
I liked it too. I think Ash is like really like growing into her own character, and like she's starting to like act more like an adult now, I guess. I don't know how to say this. She's like, I need to let my former father know that my brother is dead, because he deserves to know.
My only other real note is just like, you know, why do we have to redeem Clarence? This whole, you know, he's had time alone. He's had time to think. He has a toffee brand, apparently.
Yeah, it's a toffee brand that's apparently called Nuggets or something.
It's called Clarence's Nuggets, and they're the best in the world, but they're not really the best, and they're not really nuggets. And honestly, like, why do you have this set up that, okay, he has a toffee brand, and then, like, to be at the nameless planet, as it were, and offer Hush Fluffles toffee and nothing comes of it, like, no payoff there. It's just like, this little one line could have just been a one line. Don't bring it up again in the episode if there's not going to be a payoff, unless the payoff is just he gets killed. Like, that's not interesting. Like, well, at least to me, like, I don't know. Like, it would have just been better if it was just, you know, like, I'm bequeathing everything to you, including my toffee brand, Clarence's Toffees, the best in the world. They're not really the best, nor are they nuggets. So fuck you. Like, it's just like, why bring that up again later in the episode to have him show nuggets just for no payoff other than that? Like, I think if it was just the one line, it would, you know, that as a throwaway line, I think could have been a lot funnier if it was just that. Because otherwise now I'm like, okay, so now we're really trying to give Clarence more backstory, more redemption, and you just kill him. He had his little robot friend tell him, like, hey, that was just broadcasted to the universe. Like, you don't think that, like, clicks in Clarence's head, like, I should protect myself, probably. Like, have him wear bulletproof armor or something like that. Like, he's already shape-shifted for me. You're telling me that, like, he couldn't pull his body out of a different body and just be like, haha, you thought that was the real Clarence, but it's me, an even tinier Clarence inside this Clarence form. What you thought was my body was in fact nothing. Like, his little realization of just like, oh yes, I've had many things. I'm giving you all of my 38 planets, but I'm going to activate this hyper-dimensional bridge for my adopted daughter.
And I'm probably going to die in the process of doing it.
Yeah, just he has the realization of just, it's just stuff. Like,
Also, did we mention that Clarence has a beard now?
I mean, whatever. Like, he's disheveled. He's drinking piss martinis. Like,
He's living on the garbage planet again.
sure, we see an older, more disheveled Clarence, as it were. Fine, whatever. You know, a slight little redesign is kind of fun. But all of this off-screen maturity for him, just, it's so infuriating for me, just because I liked Clarence. I didn't like Fox. So I don't care for Fox's backstory, but I do like Clarence. So I feel like I'm robbed of Clarence's backstory.
I actually really did like Clarence in this episode, though. I wasn't expecting to like him in this episode, but I guess I did.
I'm just so upset that he's gone, because he was literally one of the best characters to be introduced to this show. And I guess he redeemed himself, you know, he had one last chance to leave a positive impression on the show, and he took it.
He went out with a bang.
Well, not even. There was no explosion. He got shot by a coward, is what happened.
Yeah. It's still considered a bang, I guess. A gunshot bang.
Oh, and then just the fucking, just him dying in the cold, all alone. You know, Todd just shot him and he died. And just the fucking stupid alien running in, just being like, no, we were supposed to have dinner. Like,
We were supposed to have dinner!
that just ruined the entire moment for me. Like, I get it's supposed to be that sort of, like, snap. We're not going to let this be too downtrodden right now. Not going to get it too low. So we're just going to have this brief little punch up, as it were. And I just, again, I hated it. I still think this was a great episode for the season. Like, it's not the worst, and it's not the second worst episode. Maybe it will be by the end of the season for me, but like, it was still a very strong episode. Like, I don't necessarily hate what happened. I'm just upset at what happened because I couldn't control anything about it. And otherwise, like, outside of really the main plot line of activating the teleporter, like, again, I just have no investment in this whole Tribore arc.
If there's like one thing I can agree with you on this episode, the Tribore scene, no.
It's just sort of outside of everything. It's not really paying off in any way that I can see. And it's just cluttering the season for me.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that, because I don't like the Tribore scenes at all in this season. They're just forgettable. They're like bad at worst, forgettable at best.
I get that maybe the crew likes them. You know, they laugh their butts off watching this. But it's just like, we had the same joke in a different episode.
It's literally the same joke. You're right.
It's literally the same joke of who's the liberator. Yes! We've already had this joke. Like, you've done nothing but take up precious time in this episode to do a joke that we've already heard.
I don't know, I just blocked that scene out of my memory, because every single time Tribore's on screen, I just block it out of my memory. He just doesn't exist.
Which is a sad thing to say.
He just doesn't exist to me.
That's such a sad thing to say.
I know it's a sad thing to say. It's just that he's just not funny. He's not very memorable at all.
The thing is that Tribore was originally, you know, season 1, just sort of the side funny moment character. Like, why is he putting on Quinn's clothes? That's pretty funny.
He was just a comic relief in season 1, and that worked for him.
His whole character has evolved from that and just asking random questions that were pretty rhetorical to actually having plot, which is not a bad thing. But at this point, it's been this, evolving of the character from that into season 1 into season 2, where he is now the leader of the resistance, and now season 3 is him doing the exact same thing.
Yeah, it's literally doing the exact same thing, but this time he has a son.
He's better as a character of being the side character that does those little quips to people.
Yeah, like, I think he's, like, at his strongest when he's, like, near people. Like, when he's off on his own, he just kind of comes off as a jerk and narcissistic.
Let's rewrite the season, as it were, like right now. Let's just rewrite Tribore. Like, let's have him stay with the team squad, and okay, we're going to Paris. Oh, let him and Kevin have this little shopping moment over here because apparently they both like fashion.
Oh
yeah,
gosh,
like
that would be wonderful.
Have that instead of him being off, in this, like, he could teach his son and, Hugh that while he still had a body, never buy from the first seller and never pay full price. And it's just like, have that moment be that instead of him just being off nowhere with, doing nothing really important. Because at this point, we have no payoff for the resistance. It's just him taking people he saved out of final space.
Yeah, that's literally his entire arc in this season, and honestly, I'm glad he's gone now.
Like, at this point, like, if I have to write, like, in my notes, okay, Tribore, like, it's not leaving a strong impression on me. Like I've said, much of this season has been a slow build-up. Then, for whatever reason, we had episode 6. And we're back on that train, and now we're having a little dip for me right here. But, like, it's still building up.
I can definitely see, like, it's, like, I honestly don't know what to expect next for the next episode. And that's a good thing, because, like, you can see, like, the tension building up. And it's probably going to explode in our faces once we hit this season finale.
I mean, at this point, it's going to be criminal if Final Space doesn't get a season 4.
Honestly, yeah. I hope it does.
I love this show. I love Olin, but it's taken 3 seasons for some payoff. And at this point, I don't know if we're going to even get that payoff in this season. Like, you can't introduce in season 3, episode 9, an alternate purpose as to why the Kevins were built.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, and have it succeed in less than 3 episodes or 4 episodes or whatever.
It's like, oh hey, did you know that not only Kevin can be like the internet of some sort or something, he's also a super weapon that can kill titans.
It's that, but also, like, we have had more of a build-up to get everyone out of final space. We had, let's just say it was from episode 2, if I remember correctly, to episode 9. That amount of episodes of a build-up to get them out of final space, only to have them choose not to get out of final space to kill the Titans because Kevin Van Newton nonchalantly, explains to Quinn, who stumbles upon this accidentally, as it were, how they could kill the Titans. And it's just like, I mean, I get it. When we were first in this season, it wasn't introduced as we're going to kill the Titans. It was we're going to escape final space.
Yeah. And now the tables have turned.
Not even necessarily. It's not so much that the tables have turned. It's that new information has been exposed. And Quinn decides to be the leader for once and be like, no, we need to kill the Titans. And everyone else is just like, well, I mean, they finally agree on it. But everyone else was pretty content to just leave because, I don't know, as a selfish person myself, I would opt in to go for the, I'm going to escape.
Yeah, I'm just gonna yeet out of final space. Bye.
Yeah, like, I got what I wanted. I am a finite creature. I know I'm going to die someday, so goodbye. If that's, 5 minutes from now or 50 years from now, goodbye.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping that they would get out of found space, but like, yeah, at the same time, it's like whether they get out or not, they're still Invictus, and it still wants to kill everything in the universe. So there's no real easy way out of it, if I'm getting this crossed right.
So they're just going for like the silver bullet to kill the Dracula or whatever at this point,
They're just going for it.
If it really is true that what they were suggesting in the episode, that Invictus and her Titan friends are apparently all tucked tightly away in their prison, as it were, even though we've had Bolo and Oreskes and maybe a different Titan also be outside of the prison. So, like I said, this sort of magic bullet of just use the Kevins to kill them once and for all, because they're conveniently now, like, maybe this is more information now, like, but apparently all of the Titans that we need to worry about are conveniently locked away right now in one place. So the more I think about this episode, the more it confuses me and angers me.
I don't know. I can see where you're coming at, but I still love this episode.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's good. It was a good episode, but it's raising a lot more questions that it answers for me right now, and you didn't have to kill Clarence. You just didn't, Olin. Now you will suffer the wrath of a negative review from me, irate gamer.
The one Clarence fan.
Yeah, the one Clarence fan in this entire fandom.
I mean, there's some, but not that many.
I'm the biggest.
I know you are.
Just, I don't want to toot my own horn, as it were, but, like, I've been very vocal about how much I like Clarence. Olin, I have some questions for you, buddy. If you're ever back on the server, I have some questions for you, my man. Like I've been saying, I think this season has been a season of improvements. From sound design, storytelling, one-off liners, animation, character development, all of that. It's all been great. Like, I do enjoy these little moments that pop up here and there, but sometimes I have to take a step back and just be like, I don't think that was necessary. Like, what executive decided that should stay in versus some other plot line that should be cut? Like Clarence's little, hang up on the telephone, as it were, like, shut it, primate. Like, oh, my boy, you're back.
The moment he just hears Gary's voice, he's like, shut it, primate.
Yeah, like, that was great. I wish I had more, and you killed him. Do you have any final thoughts on the episode, as it were?
I'm just gonna say I liked it, and I thought it was a good episode, even though there's a little bit of Tribor in it, and I don't like Tribor.
Like I've said, I think it was a strong episode. There was some content in it that I didn't necessarily enjoy or agree with, but ultimately it is still leading towards an endpoint, and I can appreciate the episode for what it was.
It's going to get crazier from here. I can feel it.
So, once again, thank you for joining us on another episode of TERA CON Prime Time. My name was Jeremy.
And my name is Blaze.
And we'll see you in a future episode of TERA CON Prime Time, where we review Season 3, Episode 10, Until the Sky Falls. And, let the sky fall, let it tumble. We will stand tall, face it all together in final space. Oh, we had different lines, didn't we?
Whoops.
All right, we'll see you guys in another episode.
Bye-bye.